Welcome to Spenny and the Nets, episode 242. It is your host. I'm Spen Harris here to first off wish everyone a happy new year. Welcome to 2026. If you're listening to this, we made it. We're here. If you're a Nets fan and listening to this, which you probably are, fortunately, the year is 2026 and the Nets aren't very good at basketball right now. But we are coming off a win. We'll get into some game breakdowns. We'll talk about the Nuggets victory. We'll talk about the Rockets and the Wizards loss. But I wanted to this is the last time I could say Happy New Year to everybody. After the first business day of the year, it's unacceptable. All right? And it's January 5th today. If you're listening on Tuesday, it's January 6th. You are listening because the episode drops on Tuesday, but I'm recording on 1/5. Last day you can say Happy New Year. All right, let's move on. We're going to start with a segment I like to call Heard It Through the Trade Grapevine. Because I was listening to that song earlier today. Heard it through the grapevine. Just insert the word trade there because these are all rumors. And we're going to start with the Brooklyn Nets because that's the team that this podcast covers. And we're going to start with Jake L. Fisher's report from recently that Golden State has recently discussed the idea of landing Michael Porter Jr. from Brooklyn. Jake Weinbach, who I'm going through his Twitter and I like some of his opinions. He wrote if the Warriors pursue Michael Porter Jr., a trade package would most likely revolve around Kuminga, Moses Moody, and Buddy Hield. And then there are other reports surfacing that the Nets aren't really interested in the likes of Jonathan Kuminga. They've been pretty steadfast on that communication for a while now. I don't think the Nets love what they've seen from Kuminga in Golden State. And I don't think he's a guy they want to add to this young culture they have growing in Brooklyn. Yeah, I don't know if MPJ to Golden State works if you're the Nets, unless the Warriors. I'm not sure of their draft pick situation, but look, if you got a first for Cam Johnson and you got 5 firsts for Mikal Bridges, I think that MPJ's got to be somewhere in between that. He's definitely worth more than 1 first. I mean, the guy's playing like, dare I say, a top 15 player in the NBA this season. He's been unstoppable. I always like to compare the way he scores to Cam Thomas because I think Cam Thomas has to work a lot harder for his buckets. I think Cam Thomas has some impeccable footwork and he has some shiftiness to him. MPJ is a brute force. He's going to score the ball over you. He can Euro step. He can get to the rim. He can hit in the mid range. He's just done it all for Brooklyn this year. And there is a team out there. Ironically, you look at the Nuggets right now without Jokic, and Cam Johnson, who's hurt. They could use an MPJ. The Warriors are missing one more piece. They can use an MPJ. I look at a team like the Timberwolves. Imagine adding MPJ to a team with Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert and potentially Julius Randle if you're able to keep him. I mean, like, those are the kinds of teams in the West that can use the services of Michael Porter Jr. So, going to be very interesting to see what happens there. If I'm Sean Marks, I think my priority is to try to move Cam Thomas first because he's on the expiring contract. He's a free agent in the summer. So see what you can try to move Cam Thomas for. He's now coming off the bench. You can see he can still get buckets. So I think a perfect situation if you're a Nets fan. And I like the idea of keeping Michael Porter Jr. I want to be on the record and say that I don't think the Nets necessarily have to move on from MPJ. I think he could be part of the future here, especially because it seems like the young guys, like your Jaeger Jomans, like your Nolan Traore's, your Danny Wolfs, they seem to like playing with him. From what I can tell, I mean, this Nuggets game was a really solid indicator of Jaeger just feeding MPJ the rock, MPJ giving it back to Joman. It just seems like he's good for this Nets culture, and him and Jordy Fernandez, they work very well together. So I don't hate the idea of moving MPJ, but if you're Sean Marks, I'm sorry, I don't hate the idea of keeping MPJ. But if you're Sean Marks and you're going to try to really shake things up and get all this youth and draft picks back, ideal situation You move MPJ for a few first rounders. You move Cam Thomas maybe for a few second rounders and a few young players. And then you that opens up time for the rookies, right? If you don't have Cam Thomas and Michael Porter Jr., you're now going to see more Drake Powell. You're going to see more Danny Wolf. You're going to see more Ben Suraf, Nolan Traore. And that's going to be a good situation, right? Because the rookies are going to get more time on the court in the NBA. Also, you're going to lose more games. Half the reason why you're not the worst team in the league right now, half of it is Michael Porter Jr. Okay, he's been available this season. He has consistently won games for the Nets. He's averaging damn near 25 points per game. I got to look up what his league average is right now. But if you trade away MPJ, you're naturally going to lose more games. Like that's just the way it's going to be. So you move him, you move Cam Thomas, you get a lot more picks. You're going to lose and probably help the tank a lot. Michael Porter Jr. is averaging 25.9 points per game. So damn near 26 points per game, 7.6 rebounds per game, 3.4 assists. He's shooting 58% from two, 41% from three, and about 50% overall from the field. He's been incredible. All right, around the league, the big news today is that Trae Young is looking for a new home at about, ooh, what time was this? Let's see how quickly this loads. At about 5:50 p.m. on Monday, Shams Charania reported Atlanta Hawks All-Star Trae Young and his agents Aaron Mintz, Drew Morrison, and Austin Brown, kind of nuts, he has three agents, are working with the franchise on a trade. Sources tell ESPN Young's reps and the Hawks have started collaborative talks over the last week on finding a resolution. So the news out there recently was that the Mavericks are not interested in Trae Young and the Hawks are interested in Anthony Davis, meaning you would need a third team to facilitate that trade if the Hawks were to make a move for Anthony Davis. And Jake Weinbach at J Weinbach NBA, give him a follow. I want to give this guy some credit because he has been on the prowl on Monday. So 5 days ago, he reported that a blockbuster mock trade between the Hawks, Mavericks, and Wizards. This is what it might look like. Hawks get Anthony Davis, CJ McCollum, Corey Kispert, D'Angelo Russell. Mavericks get Kristaps Porzingis, Zachary Ricochet, 2026 first round pick via Atlanta, and the Wizards would get Trae Young and Luke Kennard. Interesting pick. Interesting mock trade. And then, of course, 2 hours ago on Monday, that's 2 hours from me recording this podcast, the Wizards have emerged as a legitimate trade suitor for Trae Young. Washington can match salaries by constructing a deal around CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert. A multi-team trade involving Anthony Davis and Dallas is worth mentioning as a possibility as well. Trae Young to the Wizards. Interesting. Would be an interesting move. I don't hate it, but at the same time, like as a Wizards fan, I'd probably be like, what are we doing here? Do we really think that we can build around our youth? Obviously, Trey Johnson has looked really, really good for Washington. I like his game a lot. He's been pretty solid. He's up to 12.2 points per game and on about 24 minutes a game. Solid score. He seems like he can be special. You have some guys over there in Washington. Koulibaly's still over there. Alex Sarr is a potential star in the making. And yeah, that team is missing a point guard. Bubs Carrington is not the long-term guy. So it would be interesting to see Trae Young for the Wizards. And then if you're a Nets fan, that'd be fucking awesome, right? Helps us. They have a worse record than us right now, and they beat us recently, so would help the tank immensely. I don't know. Trae Young's an interesting commodity. He's a liability on defense. Offensively, he's extremely talented. I don't think anyone denies that. But when push comes to shove, if you're in the playoffs, he's a mismatch. Like teams will go at him. He's one of the smallest point guards in the league. It is what it is. I don't know. I think he makes Washington a eighth or ninth seed in the East. Probably does around that. But they're gonna get bounced in the first round if they were to go up against the Knicks. They were to go up against the Pistons. They're getting absolutely swamped. Then on Atlanta's side, I mean, Atlanta was playing its best basketball of the season when Trae Young was injured. So you go out and get Anthony Davis, and you can get a decent point guard in like a D'Angelo Russell or someone like that. I mean, I don't know. Jalen Johnson's the real deal in Atlanta. Like he's a rising superstar. So that would be an interesting squad right there at Atlanta. I think Atlanta would be a much better team than Washington. I think if you're Washington, you're looking at the next 3 or 4 years and saying, all right, maybe in 2 or 3 years, like we'll be a formidable force in the East. But no, not this season. Even with Trae Young, I don't see it for Washington. Um, I don't think I thought this was worth sharing, so I wrote it down. Dylan Brooks not going anywhere. Phoenix Suns forward Dylan Brooks. The Suns owner Matt Ishbia on X. He decided to tweet that on Monday after I think DeMarcus Cousins said that the Suns should try to make a trade with the Lakers for Austin Reeves. Matt Ishbia said, don't bother. We're not trading Dylan Brooks. I'm paraphrasing here, but things I didn't have on my 2026 bingo card is the Phoenix Suns owner coming out on X and publicly stating they're not going to trade Dylan Brooks, who's been really nice for Memphis. He has been. I'm sorry, not Memphis. He's been nice for Phoenix. He was nice for Memphis a few years ago. All right, got 3 game recaps. We are going to start with the Nuggets and the Nets at home on Sunday. The Nets beat the Nuggets 127-115. This was a nice little Michael Porter Jr. revenge game. MPJ had 27 points, 11 boards, 5 assists. Nice win for him against his former employer in Denver. Denver decided they needed to get better, so they made a trade for Cam Johnson, shipped out Michael Porter Jr., and he has just been fucking killing it for the Nets. He has a really nice game in this one, 9 of 9 from the line. Like I said, he only had 2 3-pointers in this one, and he still ended up with 27 points. MPJ, you're a dog. You're a bucket. Noah Clowney, nice bounce back game for him. 22 points, 6 of 10 from the field. He had a stretch in the beginning of the third quarter. He just was hitting like he hit 2 or 3 threes in a row. 6 of 7 from the line for Clowney, 6 rebounds. Day'Ron Sharpe. Got to give Day'Ron Sharpe a lot of props here. He has been getting the start recently as Claxton's been out due to personal reasons, so he gets another start tonight. Sharpe was really important in this one. 17 points, 6 of 9 from the field, 5 of 8 from the line, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, and 1 block. An all-around really good game for Sharpe and a chance for him to show some of these teams out there that need a backup center he can possibly be that guy or even a starting center. Like Sharpe is a really solid player in this league, and I think he can help a playoff team. What are you willing to give up for him? I don't know how high his value is. I don't think it's as high as Nick Claxton's, but he's a banger. As my co-host and younger brother Nick says, he's a bang guy. He likes to bang with other guys, get boards, does the dirty work. Nice game for him. And then Cam Thomas off the bench, 17 points. He got it going towards the end of the third quarter. Shout out to Cam. I mean, whether he's starting, whether he's coming off the bench, he just continues to fill it up and be an offensive weapon. And if I'm a team out there that's lacking, someone who can create offensively for themselves, I'm looking at Cam Thomas. I'm maybe picking up my phone and calling Sean Marks and saying, hey, here's a young player and a draft pick. We'll rent Cam Thomas for the rest of the year and then re-sign him in the offseason. Now, it gets tricky because Cam Thomas has that no trade clause in his contract, so he can decide where he goes. But it's got to be a team out there, got to be a playoff team out there that can use the services of Cam Thomas. One of the most gifted scorers on this Brooklyn Nets team, other than the big three being here. He's really been it. Like, yeah, McHale had his stint. Cam Johnson had his stint. Obviously, MPJ has been an absolute monster for us. But aside from Cam Thomas was better. He's a better scorer than McHale Bridges, and he's a better scorer than Cam Johnson. Can just do more with the rock in his hands. Zaire Williams, 13 points off the bench. Let's get to the nice to see a good game from Zaire. He's been getting some minutes lately due to injury, due to guys being out, but he's been doing the most with his minutes. So shout out to Zaire Williams. Also, Tyrese Martin, Jalen Wilson did not play in this one. Tyrese Martin has fallen out of the rotation with the young guys playing a lot more. And that brings me to the young guys. Jaeger Joman, 13 points, 5 of 9 from the field, 3 of 5 from three. He didn't light it up scoring the basketball, but I'll tell you what I love to see from this guy: 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 turnover. You get that turnover number down to 1 or 0 every game, I'm going to love what you're doing. He was hitting shots. He hit a really nice turnaround mid range jumper in the very beginning. Obviously, the three ball has been really nice for him this year. Any questions about him being a shooter, you can toss him out the fucking window because he's a fucking shooter. Okay, he can hit the three. He can bang threes with the best of them right now. He's a really, really good shooter. And it's all about working on the rest of his game and cleaning up those turnovers, which he did tonight. Like I said, he was feeding Michael Porter Jr. the rock. He had a few passes, to Noah Clowney or Day'Ron Sharp. Like he's starting to get more comfortable in the NBA, and it's really been nice to see. And I was very skeptical of him the first 2 or 3 weeks of this season. I just didn't know if he was ready, and you're starting to see it. He's maybe not going to put up 27, 30 a night. I don't care. Do the little things right, and then the points are going to come. So 13 points, 4 and 4 for him. Really, really nice game for Joman. Drake Powell came in. He had 5. He hit a 3. Traore had 5. He had a tough shooting night. Nolan Traore, 2 of 10 from the field, 1 of 7 from three. But he did have 4 assists, 3 rebounds off the bench for Traore, so still making an impact. Danny Wolf's been quiet the last few games off the bench. Only 2 points in this one in 17 minutes. You'd like to see a little bit more production from him, but not every night's going to be great for him. I think we saw a stretch with him where I saw what he potentially can be when given the time. Now, I think he played the least amount of minutes in this game out of all 10 guys. He played 17 minutes, and then Drake Powell and Nolan Traore played 18 minutes. So it is what it is. I do think, with Clowney emerging, it's going to be tough for Wolf to see, and Michael Porter Jr. back. It's going to be tough for Danny Wolf to get significant minutes on this Nets team. Um, but we'll see. I'm still a believer in Danny Wolf. Like I think once he gets an opportunity, he's going to be really, really special. Uh, and then the Denver Nuggets are a bad basketball team without Nikola Jokic. I said this earlier in the show. They're just not. They're not good. Jamal Murray didn't have a terrible game. He had a bad shooting night. He was 11 to 23, but he finished with 27. Peyton Watson had 23. Tim Hardaway Jr. came off the bench. He had 26, and Aaron Gordon had 20 points coming off the bench as he continues to try to get healthy. But yeah, this Nuggets team is not going anywhere without their MVP. So maybe they make a move, try to get another player. I'm not really sure who they go after. Like, just look at what MPJ is doing right now. Imagine if he was still there. They'd be all right. I think they wouldn't be as bad as they are without Jokic, but it is what it is. Not nice win for the Nets. Nice revenge game for MPJ. We move on. We're gonna go back to Thursday, New Year's Day. The Nets had the Rockets in town. Kevin Durant playing his former team, and Kevin Durant got the best of him. 120-96 was the final score. Cam Thomas, really, really nice game for the Nets. He had 21 off the bench. He was 8 of 13 from the field, 3 of 7 from three-point land. Just a reminder, like, there was a time in this guy's career he was getting 30 points a night off the bench. So getting 21 off the bench in 23 minutes is not uncommon for him. He was the only guy who had more than 20. Zaire Williams had 14. No MPJ in this one. MPJ had the night off. Clowney and Nick Claxton had 11 each. Just an overall, no other net was in double figures. Just a bad game for Brooklyn. Jaeger Joman did not play in this one. Terrence Mann did not play in this one. So they were down a lot of guys, and it showed. It showed. This Rockets team is interesting. I still think they're a point guard away, so I don't think they can do anything until either Fred VanVleet comes back or they try to trade for a point guard in the meantime. But Amen Thompson, Alperen Sengun, Kevin Durant all had 20 or more points. Tari Eason had 15. Jamari Smith Jr. had 14, and Reed Shepherd had 14 off the bench. The Rockets shot 41% from three, 57% from the field, and they also took Oh, actually, the Nets took a lot more free throws than them, but the Nets shot 33% from three, 45% from the field. This one wasn't really a contest. Funny moment in this game. It seems like everyone's trying to pick on Danny Wolf recently. Jimmy Butler, the week prior, scored on Danny Wolf, called him a white boy, which, whatever. Like, I guess, yeah. You score on someone who's white, you can call him a white boy, sure. So Danny Wolf got a little clowned in that game. I don't think anyone really thought it was a big deal. And then get to this game, Danny Wolf bricks a three. It hits Kevin Durant in the face, and Kevin Durant is original. He steals a famous Kevin Garnett line, and he says, That's a trash ass miss, Wolf." Hot mic'd. Mike's caught it, and yeah, not a great week for Danny Wolf, getting clowned by Jimmy Butler and then Kevin Durant. I guess if you're gonna get clowned by anyone, get clowned by two guys who have been pretty elite in the sport for the last 10, 15 years. I still stand by, I've said this on X and maybe on the show. Guys don't tend to score that much when Danny Wolf is covering them. It's weird. Obviously, he's one of the slower players in the league, but he moves his feet pretty well for a slower guy, for a bigger guy, and he's for the most part he's been able to make a lot of guys miss. And I say that looking at his plus minus, he had a minus 24 in this one. It was the worst plus minus on the team after Drake Powell, who was minus 25. But all the starters were minus big numbers. The Nets just weren't in this game. And yeah, like I said, Wolf's going through a stretch. It just hasn't been the best for him. He had 9 points in this one, 4 of 10 from the field, 1 of 4 from three. That was really it. That was really it. Nothing else here from really anyone. And we move on to the game on Thursday. I'm sorry, that was on Thursday, 1-1. And this game on Friday against the Wizards. If you're a fan of the tank, boy, oh boy, did you love this loss. Wizards 119, Nets 99. Nobody on the Nets had more than 15 points. Day'Ron Sharpe, Terrence Mann, Drake Powell, and Zaire Williams all had 14. Danny Wolf had 11, and Jaeger Joman had 10. Nolan Traore had 12 off the bench. So those are one, two, three, four. Those are seven Nets in double figures, but you give up 119 to the Washington Wizards, who just shot the ball better than the Nets. It was what it came down to. 38% from three, 51% from the field to the Nets, 21% from three, 40% from the field. The Nets hit 6 3-pointers in this game entirely. And Zaire Williams had three of them. This was a bad game for Noah Clowney. 0 of 8 from three, 2 of 13 from the field. If he's not shooting the ball well, it's hard for him to impact the game. That's what I'm starting to learn about Noah Clowney, which is why for the future of this basketball team, if you put a metaphorical pistol to my head and asked me to pick Danny Wolf or Noah Clowney as the starting power forward moving forward, I'm going to choose Danny Wolf only because Danny Wolf can do a lot more and impact the game a lot more than score. Clowney's probably a better defender by a little bit, by a lot. But offensively, I think Wolf has a unique skill set that Clowney just doesn't possess. And Wolf can hit the three. Like, let's not forget, Wolf's not a slouch when it comes to shooting. He's in a bit of a slump right now, but he's proven he can hit the three. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Obviously, Clowney's game against the Nuggets was great, but then he has duds like this where he goes 0 of 8 from three and 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 turnovers. Like, that's not going to get it done. Um, yeah. Traore, I mentioned that the 12 points on 4 of 7 from the field, 4 of 4 from the line. He did have 5 assists. You're starting to see flashes in Traore's game of what he can be in the NBA. There is a smoothness, to his game. I do think he's probably the best ball handler out of all 5 rookies, out of Jaeger, Saraf, um, Powell, and Wolf. I think Nolan Traore is a better ball handler than all 5 of those guys. He's the quickest out of all 5 of those guys. He's been hitting the three a little bit more recently. But I'm waiting. I feel like his breakout game is coming. I feel like there's going to be a moment where he's going to go and get 17 and 10, and we're gonna be very happy for the future of this backcourt with Traore and Powell and Drummond, whoever you want to group as the two guards and the forward. Alex Sarr, nice game for him on the other side, 19 points, 5 rebounds. Justin Champagny had 20 points. He was 9 of 12 from the field. It just felt like he couldn't miss in this one. But yeah, if you are a fan of the Nets losing every game possible, that was a game that you needed to lose. And you say that because the Wizards are right there at the bottom of the East with the Nets. They still have 2 less wins than the Nets. So we look at the worst teams in the league. This is a quick record update. We'll start with the lowly Indiana Pacers. The team that won the East last year is 6-30 right now. Next up, you have 2 teams that have 8 wins. The Pelicans and the Sacramento Kings each have 8 wins. So that's Pacers 1, Pelicans 2, Kings 3. The Wizards have the fourth worst record at 9-25, and then the Nets are right there, 11-22. They stand alone with the fifth worst record in the league. Washington. Washington's a fun team right now. They're a fun young team. Trey Johnson is a baller. I think I saw a statistic today on X. The Wizards have as many wins as the Thunder in their last 11 games. And I don't think that's a knock on the Thunder as much as it is praise for the Wizards. So shout out to the Wizards. That was a good loss for the tank. All right, we're gonna look at the schedule quickly for the Nets, and we're gonna determine the next 5 games. We're gonna play a little win loss. So we're gonna look at versus Orlando at home. I'm gonna say that's a loss. Versus the Clippers at home, I'm gonna say that's a win. So you lose against Orlando at home. You beat LA at home. You're 1-1. Memphis on the road. Shoot, I don't know. Ugh. I'm gonna say that's a loss. You're 1-2. Dallas on the road right after that Memphis game. That's a loss. You're 1-3, and then you play at New Orleans on the 14th. I'm gonna say that's a win. I'm gonna say the Nets go 2-3 in the next 5. I think you beat the Pelicans on the road and you beat the Clippers at home. Those are the 2 wins. All right, final segment. I saw this tweet. A friend sent it to me. Shout out to my buddy Nate in New England. Nate, let's call him Nate. Nate from New England. That's his name. Nate sent me a tweet, and the tweet was from uh, at it's Ant Wright, and Wright is spelled Wright. And basically, it's just it's a comp of the top 7 players in college basketball right now to their NBA counterpart or who they think they're going to be. Thought it was fun. The Nets, I'm gonna push this into existence. They're not going to have worse than the 7th pick. So I'm going to read, and this is titled the 2026 NBA Draft Big Board 1.0 with the top 7 players and their NBA comps. So here we go. Number 1, Darren Peterson, guard out of Kansas. Draft comparison next. I'm sorry. New generation Kobe Bryant, who, by the way, famously said if the Nets drafted him the year he was drafted by the Lakers, he would not have played for the Nets. That's what he said. He said he would have went overseas. Was he bluffing? To this day, we'll never know. His agents say he would have sucked it up and played for the Nets. That's what his that's what I don't know if that's what his agent said, but I've heard that around that it was a bluff and he would have played, but we'll never know. We ended up with Kerry Kittles and the rest is history. Darren Peterson, I can see it. I can see him being a net. I'd like the new generation Kobe Bryant. Now, number 2 is the guy I really want. Okay, I really want AJ DeBonsa, the forward out of BYU. And I said this watching him play. His game reminds me of RJ Barrett at Duke. And maybe it's the lefty thing, but he just has the ability to take over in the mid range. He's 6'9", though. He's more efficient than RJ Barrett was. I feel like that's probably not statistically accurate, but it just, to me, he feels more efficient than RJ Barrett did in college. He's a wing, by the way. He's a combo wing. He is 6'9", and yeah, yeah. I want AJ DeBonsa on the Nets. I think he'd be the perfect complement to this team. Number 3, we have Cameron Boozer, power forward out of Duke. His draft comparison is 93 rated Pete Nance. Gonna let you guys figure that one out. Not even gonna say anything else about that. Kingston Flemings, point guard out of Houston. Kingston Flemings is 6'4", and I'm seeing his draft comparison according to this screenshot. Grounded Gilbert Arenas. So at its Ant Right thinks that this Kingston Flemings guy out of Houston could be Gilbert Arenas. I don't hate it. I was a big Agent 00 fan. Um, when he was in, or is it Agent 99? What number was Gilbert Arenas? Gilbert Arenas NBA number. Was it let's see. Agent Zero. All right, so it wasn't the double. I added the double. It was Agent Zero. Yeah, I wouldn't hate that. I wouldn't hate Kingston Flemings on the Nets. Five, Caleb Wilson out of UNC, 6'10" power forward. He's being compared to a 6'10" Hornets. Gerald Wallace. All right, former New Jersey. No, was he New Jersey? No, I think he was both. I think Gerald Wallace might have been both. Oh, this is gonna bother me. Was Gerald Wallace basketball? Was he New Jersey and Brooklyn, or was he just? Let's see. New Jersey in 2011 to 2012. He was Brooklyn. Okay, so he was both. He was one of the him and Brooke Lopez were both New Jersey and Brooklyn Nets. Um, Yeah, I like that. Like, I've watched Caleb Wilson play. I'm very impressed with his game. I think he's got probably one of the best motors in college basketball right now. I like him a lot. Okay, Quaintance, power forward center out of Kentucky, rookie Derek Favors. Yeah, no thanks. I'll pass. Don't. Nope. He was on the Nets. Just overall, Derek Favors. I'm not a fan. And then finally, Darius, a cuff point guard out of Arkansas, is being compared to a Midwest Stephon Marbury. Most know Stephon Marbury as an all-time great Nick, one of the best guards to ever come out of New York State. Shout out to Steph Marbury, Darius Atcuff. That's his NBA comp. All right, I'm not going to read past seven because I'm putting this into existence. The Nets will not get worse than the seventh pick in the 2026 NBA draft. That does it for this week's episode of Spenny and the Nets. Thank you guys for listening to another episode 242. I just want to say I appreciate everyone who tunes in for this show. I didn't record last week. Apologies there. I took a week off, but I'm back this week and I'm here to give you the best and the most recent news surrounding our beloved Brooklyn Nets. So signing off. Thanks for listening and bye bye.